Troy Westwood joins us. He could not make it in this year for the Labor Day Classic. We will get him one of these years to play in our All-Star weekend.
Yeah, I know. Before we get into the meat of the interview, I know that's one thing that Abu's big on, and I don't want to tease
bringing Bombers over
the evolution of this celebrity touch football game. But next year, or maybe the year after, we want to get. Abu wants to bring in Team Winnipeg and have the alumni from the Bombers play the alumni of the Riders. You think you get a pretty good team going down there, Troy?
I think we could, and I'll start. I got to be quarterback though to replicate Kenny Stabler.
Okay. Well, actually, the lefty. I got you.
The Owls don't play on Labor Day. Kahari could come and play.
Oh, we already got one. We got Westy here. Well, I see Bomber alumni.
Kahari can do the kicking if Troy's going to do the throw.
Right. Westy, have you been here for a Labor Day Classic since you played?
I have been to one, and it was a lot of fun. I think I was tied up with it, but went to the game, and by and large, I was shocked at how kind I was treated by everyone. There was, I think, 2 water bottles thrown at my wife and I as we were.
That's it.
Getting to our seats or leaving, I can't remember for sure, but yeah. And outside of that, though, it was spectacular. It was a lot of fun.
Did you have the shaved head back then, or were you going Kojak style by that? Like, I'm a little surprised you were recognized, because a lot of people wouldn't recognize you right now if they haven't seen you since 2007.
I think I still had the locks when we were there, so they were flowing in the wind, and I probably was wearing Bomber stuff. I can't recall for sure, but yeah, recognizable I was within the sea of green.
You know, it's funny, my friend. The Banjo Bowl name goes back now a long time. Like, our viewers of this show have displayed that they're young. They don't know who Roger Aldag is. They sure as hell don't know who Russ Jackson is. So maybe they don't know where the Banjo Bowl started. Even the players are wondering where the name came from, Troy. Do you want to just touch on that as we get ready for whatever it is, like Banjo Bowl 15 coming up?
Yeah, it was just a tongue-in-cheek statement that I made. I grew up in a household where there was all kinds of travel to the Labor Day game with my dad and uncles. My mom's family was from Regina. There you see my beautiful wife making her way to the screen. But
she is beautiful. Well done.
Out to the Labor Day game all the time. So the rivalry in our house was always alive and well. My whole mom's side of my family was from Regina. So I grew up with the sharp tongue back and forth. And then one day we were actually playing in Vancouver, and I was reading a piece in a writer out there called Us the Bombers Banjo Picking Inbreds, and I was eating breakfast with Bob and laughing about it. And then I think that same year before the Labor Day game, I called the folks of Saskatchewan Banjo Picking Inbreds, and it didn't make a blip. I always would have fun with the crowd in Regina and stuff like that. And then I had this idea in my head with this statement that I was going to make, and I told Bob Cameron. And he said, "Don't say that, man. It'll be front page news everywhere. Don't do it." And I said, "Bob, it's too funny for me to keep to myself. I have to share it." Now, I shared it before a playoff game. I'm not sure that was the smartest thing in the world, but it wasn't directed at the Riders at all, right? It was just directed to the fans who had always enjoyed my wonderful relationship with. And the quote was, "I would like to apologize to the people of Saskatchewan for calling them banjo picking inbreds. That was very wrong of me to do. The vast majority of people in Saskatchewan have no idea how to play the banjo." And that went through the roof for sure. Right. And then the marketing team in Winnipeg, Jerry Maslowski and company, and along with David Asper, turned it into a real positive thing. The Riders were very slow, and I still don't think that they really embraced it. $10,000 went to the winning team's provincial United Way, I believe, and the Bombers ended up getting there used to be no Labor Day game in Winnipeg after that. And then it went Labor Day Banjo Bowl, and I believe it's been sold out every year since.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the time you said it, I laughed, and I didn't even know you then. I thought it was hilarious. But to this day, the Riders will not acknowledge the name. There's been so many regimes go through there since, and they still won't. There must be like an envelope in the drawer or something for the next people that come through doing marketing and running it. Don't acknowledge this. It's an insult to our fans. Come on, it's funny. Anyways, we could go on all day, Troy, and fans are writing in asking you questions about Labor Day memories and stuff. But I got to first get to the Andrew Harris stuff. That's the big story. What did you think when the news came down yesterday, and what's your reaction 24 hours later?
I have a tough time being unbiased with this because I know Andrew Harris. I love the guy. He's an awesome guy, and he does so much great work in the community and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I take what he says on face value, although we hear all athletes say that. The weirdest thing to me about it was, and now there were 3 tests. Was tested on the 2nd, I believe, of July, and then on the 12th. The 2nd was free and clear. The 12th came back positive with a trace of it, and he's claiming that he bought an over-the-counter drug that promoted natural testosterone along with antioxidants, and that he feels that was contaminated. The weird thing to me is the PED that he tested positive for was Dynabol, which is prehistoric. Like in today's PED world, that's like a rotary phone compared to a smartphone for what's available for athletes today. Like even the side effects are really ugly. If you walked into a Gold's Gym in the 80s, they were, injecting themselves with Dynabol. So why a current athlete would make a decision to be on that PED compared to a bunch of the others that are out now that are more effective and safer and stuff like that, I don't understand. And that's what compels me to give Andrew Harris to listen to what he's saying and possibly take into consideration that he's telling the truth. Although we've dozens and dozens and dozens of athletes before us that we've heard this excuse before and not bought it. But I'm knowing Andrew Harris, loving the guy, I'm willing to listen to what he says and believe that it may well be the truth.
What's the sense from the team right now, and where do you see this going? Because this is a Grey Cup contender. This is a team that's good in all 3 phases. But something like this that maybe gets in a locker room or can affect you mentally can derail a season. It's an important year for the Bombers. Where do you see the team how do you see them coming out of this?
Well, he's getting tremendous support in the locker room, so I don't think there's going to be any sort of a negative impact from and or with his teammates, coaching staff, management. It appears to me that he's getting tremendous support right across the board. The unfortunate thing is how it will or potentially affect the Bombers in the standings, right? They could be in second spot should the Rough Riders sweep them. And I said this morning that I was absolutely shocked the Bombers went into Edmonton. Chris Strebler throws for 7 completions, and the Bombers stroll out of Edmonton with a win with that. I will be even more surprised if they walk into Saskatchewan, the Labor Day game, where they won one of the last 14 Labor Day Classics without Matt Nichols, without Andrew Harris, and somehow generate a victory. So I think what's more concerning is how it might just sort of make an even more muddled mess of the standings in the West, make it that much more challenging for them to secure top spot. But after these 2 games, when he does come back, it'll be an absolute dogfight to the finish line to see what the finishes end up being in the West Division.
Troy, do you guys have anything else?
I was just going to make a comment. Troy, it's Marshall here. This is a team that I think is going to struggle over the next couple of weeks because without their quarterback, without their running back, but they would still scare any team in the Canadian Football League later in the season when Nichols is back, when Strebler's still there as a second in command at the quarterback position, Andrew Harris coming back, and if he's as innocent as he says he is, he's going to want to prove a point significant. So I think this is a team, maybe they don't finish first because they go through a lull here in the middle of the season, but they're a really good football team, really well-coached football team. And these tough experiences through the middle of the season might galvanize that football team at the end of the year.
It might, yeah. But boy, oh boy, the luxury of getting that bye week in the home playoff game. Mike O'Shea and company have taken strides each of the last 3 seasons, I believe, to sort of better their situation come playoff time. They have yet to capture the West, and they would just seem so poised at this point in time with a bit of a lead to do so. It'd be a real shame to give that away and have to go on the road come playoff time. They wouldn't be incapable of still representing the West in the Grey Cup. It just makes the road that much more difficult. And I don't know that you'd want to go back into Edmonton, or if Bo Levi Mitchell gets healthy in Calgary, it gets better if you're going into Calgary or maybe even into Saskatchewan, right, for a very hostile environment type game. It makes things muddy between those 4 teams going forward here. It's going to be one heck of a finish in the West for the CFL.
Troy, you are a true charm. Thank you for the time this morning, sir. And I know we'll be talking over the next couple of weeks.
Always a pleasure, fellas. Take care, Rod.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.